You know those little jobs that take up time? This is another one of them. You sort of think about stuff while you're working. The amount of dust that just sanding has generated, and then obviously when it comes to spraying, I'll probably be a wildcat and spray outside here like a madman. But I might end up masking the whole inside of that garage in some plastic. I need to buy some, and then mask the whole inside, which is a nightmare to do. I might do that and create more of a spray booth. Or I might I think I've got a gazebo stashed in the back. If I set up the gazebo on the drive, and it's not too bad of a windy day, then I might be able to spray inside of the gazebo, and then that will prevent a lot of the overspray blowing everywhere. Because the one thing about red, and I've seen this with Dennis when he was painting a red vehicle, I've seen it when he's painted green stuff John Deere, it ends up being quite a mess everywhere else but on the vehicle. So one of the things I'm going to do today is grab a couple of, I've dragged them out already, a couple of old mattress covers, slice them up because they're real thick, heavy polythene type plastic. Same as these, just kind of cover the stuff that's been painted before that's essentially ready for assembly, because everything on the chassis and below, as you know, has been fully rebuilt, new parts, etc. So I may as well look after it, because this isn't going to be moving anywhere in a hurry. If I need to move it, then I'll disassemble and take all the plastic off. Someone's going on holiday. Take all the plastic off, move it, and then carry on doing under here whatever I need to do. But for the time being, I'm kind of working in the garage or on the drive, because once the sun comes out, it's right. Today there's again a breeze. You can just see stuff moving about. You see stuff moving about. There's a bit of a breeze. The outside thermometer shows 6, the one in there shows 3 degrees, so it's chilly. It's not the kind of weather you want to sit and paint or do any sort of clever stuff inside there, but I am going to sand down some more of the cab later on. But first, cut up these plastics, lay them over the top of this thing. I'm not sure if I'll lay anything on top of them. I'm sure the wind will rearrange them into the neighbour's property when the time comes, or it'll just roll it up, throw it in the back corner, something like that. Which I don't mind, because if the wind is that bad, I won't be out here working. This is more about covering for dust and just keeping this reasonably clean black chassis black and all the parts that are attached to it. So the first thing I need to do is cut up some plastics, bring them out, cut them up, and then we'll take it from there. Right, I don't know how good or bad an idea that is, but in simplicity, I think you'll probably keep the dust off the chassis, and that's a good thing to do. Otherwise you have to clean it up and paint sticks to it, and it looks like a mess when you're done. Right, let's get you out. Get going. Sun shining, but on the outside here you're looking at 5.5 degrees, 5 degrees, 40 Fahrenheit. There's a slight breeze, so obviously it's a bit cooler, and on the inside it's 3 degrees. Now the reason I've brought this camera out here quickly is to give you a bit of a close-up of what we're dealing with here on the back. I don't know how good it'll capture, but I'm sure you can see that. So it looks like somebody, obviously they painted this thing with the bed on, I guess, the final coat. But the whole thing is covered in runs, a lot of it. So I'm gonna have to square all of this up first. There's little dents, you'll see there's a tiny little dent there. I'm not interfering with them. To get in there, there's a double skin. So to get in there, you've got to go in from the bottom, and I'm just not going to bother, because at the end of the day, you have the load bed up this height. There's another mark here. I remember this one from when I disassembled. Am I interfering with them? Not a bloody chance. So there's a lot of cleaning up to do. Flattening back, little marks like this. I'll probably do the smallest of bits of filler on there. I'm not interfering with trying to get that out. Up here, look at that. So that's spider shit. Obviously the spiders had a good time here. Other than that, you can see running paint, nobody corrected. That's okay, that's my job. On the roof, there's a couple of little bits of damage. There's probably what was a CB aerial or something at some point. So there's a little hole that's been corrected and filled up, but the filler was never very successfully applied here. You can see a second coat went over the first coat of red, so I'm assuming that that was the final coat after they'd sprayed it, and this is where all of this run was created. So yeah, they always say don't buy a car or a truck on a rainy day. Around the side you can see what I did previously. It hasn't been wiped down with panel wipe or anything, so it's still dusty, but I did manage to get all the scratch marks kind of blended in, I guess you could say, all the way around where all this gloop was. Up here I need to just deal with slowing that down a bit more, but all of this is, as far as I'm concerned, it's prepared and ready. I need to do a little bit more work down the bottom around that hinge. Needs a bit more cleaning up. Soles, all of these things are good. You can see the paint's damaged in many places. There's chips and scrapes and whatever, so that needs to be flattened out and blended, so when it's painted it ends up looking like this, just really beautiful and shiny and red, or whatever color. At this point, if somebody wants to crowdfund a color change, I'd love that. I know what color I would like, but I would do a color change on this if somebody else paid for the paint, and also to have the wheels, which are currently red powder coated, changed back to cream or white. This is only because a few people have made comments about the red. I like the red, there's nothing wrong with it as far as I'm concerned. And it's going to be two-tone, white roof and bits of detail and a flash down the side of the bed. Obviously before this was not like that, but there you go. Let's start trying to get that flattened out at the back of the cab. This is a spot that I missed the other day. I didn't quite get it the way I wanted it, so I just had to remove some more of the flakes and go right down to the metal. I think that's better. I'm sure I'll find more and more and more as I keep looking, little flaws. just like that, we've lost half an hour of the day, but this piece is better than I thought it was earlier on, so happy again. The intention for today is actually the back of the load bed, or not the load bed, the back of the cab I should say, to get that paint back to square, because somebody threw a bucket of paint over there at some point. There we go. Enough of that for now. Hello, George. Come on. George. Come. Come on. Matey boy. Come. No, George says not a chance. He's happy sitting up there watching me. You can be such an idiot. George. Nah, not today. Idiot. "10 years ago, I had this cab on its back. I think it was on a mattress, or maybe it was on the chassis on a mattress. But I used petrol to clean the undersides, all the old underseal that was on the underside. Let's see if this is still the case, and I can get this off today." Right, I've owned this stupid thing for a very, very long time. Don't know what you call them. Sand bug. B&Q. Let's see if it does what I want to do, which is cutting the tops off this water run that we saw earlier on. I'll give it a go. If it works, that's a bonus. If it doesn't, you're going to have to do the hard yard. Right, that's in a hurry. Would have taken me a bit longer if I used my hands in a block. Let's see what it looks like if I dry dust it. I'm really pleased with the way this is happening, because that just means it's a hell of a lot less effort. There's a couple of spots that I need to go around the corner, but I'll do that by hand. Spots that we're still proud. That's good. looks much better. Tar. Right, a few other spots to do, and then the rest I'll do by hand. Well, I might not do it by hand, we'll see. Three hours have gone by since the last time I filmed, so now we're back. I had some amazing visitors here. A guy who's an artist and who I completely and utterly can relate to. For the stuff he does, for the way he sees stuff and makes stuff. And that is a real pleasure when you kind of meet people who are equally mad or see things in a similar way. Just back to these runs, actually, never finished showing them. I've used that mouse type sander, and although you can see them, they are gone. And actually even on my hand, perfect, they've disappeared. So what I'm going to do now is take that one up here and just carefully approach that, clear it, as in sand it back. Might be by hand, just with a bit of sandpaper, but I'm going to start with a machine and see if that works. So if I can do the whole back panel of the cab, including all of this, prepping that, I just wiped it down with petrol earlier on, because there was a lot of junk left there from 10 years ago, then I'll be happy. So let's see where we get with this job now. Fingers crossed.